Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to City College. Quick question, is everybody from the Plymouth area?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah and no. Where are you from?
from Manchester originally.
Manchester.
I'm not from Plymouth either.
Okay.
I'm from Italy.
Italy,
Yeah.
okay. Buongiorno. Right, we might have to get subtitles. Can we get subtitles for the Janners, or the non-Janners in the room, I should say? We'll be all right. So my talk today is provocatively entitled, Why Don't You Get a Job? Now, this is a question that many young people are asked at a certain time of their life. Have any of you kind of had that conversation? I saw a little nod there.
Very long time ago, but yes.
Have we?
Have we? Have you had that conversation yourself as a
we
parent?
No, I just dragged him off the sofa and made him get a job.
Told him you're getting a job,
I
yeah?
had to got the job for it, so
Yeah.
yeah, I suppose so.
Perfect. As I said, that is my provocative title, but today I'm mainly going to talk about my journey and why you might not want to get a job unless it's the right one. So, next slide, please. I always wanted to say that. There we go. So this is me, John Lamerton. I am the author of 5 best-selling business books. Slide again. They're fast, these. I should warn you that. I've been involved with more than 60 small businesses over the last 25 years, employed more than 40 people, generated more than £10 million worth of revenue, and, as I said, written 4 best-selling books so far. Book number 5 is imminent, but that's me today. That's irrelevant. That's nothing. I want to kind of take you back in time a little bit to this handsome chap. Age 15, clearly fighting off the girls at this time, and about to embark in the world of work. And the advice that I was given in 1994, when I was 16, 17, was to get yourself a nice, safe, secure job for life. A job that's got great promotion prospects and one that will give you a really good pension. That was the advice that my mum and dad gave me. It served them well. It served their parents well and their parents before them. Does anybody recognise this horrible grey building here? No? That is now called Studio 511 and it's on Millway Road.
Yeah, I recognise it.
Yeah, but at the time I worked there, this was called Durley House. And this was the world of the civil service. I worked for the government for 7 years. That's what I did. That little chap, and go back to the young me. This chap here did a careers aptitude test around about this age. And I was told there are 3 careers you might be interested in. You could become a judge, you could work in marketing, or you could become a bank manager. Of the 3, I said, I really like the sound of marketing. Marketing sounds really good. That's what I want to do. And my careers teacher said to me, yeah, you can't do that in Plymouth. We don't do marketing in Plymouth. You'll have to move to London if you want to do marketing. So I said, okay, because I believed what I was told at 15. And so I thought, judge, no, bank manager, that's what I'll do. And that's how I ended up not working in the bank, yeah, you'll go next, but in the civil service, in this horrible building. I don't know when this photo was taken, by the way, but I'm trying to age it by this chap crossing the road. And I'm looking at the length of those sideburns. I would say 1970s, maybe 80s.
Mid-70s.
I would say so. Certainly the Mount Pleasant is still standing next to it there, which it isn't anymore. However, for me, this job was not a nice, safe, secure job for life, great promotion prospects and a brilliant pension. It was, next slide please, the dullest place in the world that I could ever work. It was completely soul-destroying. Every day I would wake up not wanting to go to work. Every weekend I would spend my weekends trying to find ways not to go to work on Monday morning. And that thought that I would have to do this job for another 40 years was completely soul destroying. So let's see what's on the next slide. This is good. I'm playing this by ear. Here we go. So late 90s, early 2000s, I was in this soul destroying job, and the press, the media were full of people like this. You guys, I'm sure, don't know who these guys are. This is Martha Lane Fox, and this is Brent Hoberman. They were the founders of lastminute.com, which at the time was the UK's most prominent .com business. Jeff Bezos was launching Amazon.com. Martha Lane Fox, Brent Hoberman were doing lastminute.com. And these guys were in their 20s. I was in my 20s at the time. And all they were doing was having ideas. They were being creative with what they wanted to do with this new world that was coming along. And a lot of what you guys are going into now with the AI revolution is exactly what I was going into with the internet revolution. It is changing things phenomenally, beyond belief. And so I thought, well, I've got ideas just like these guys. And one day I was in the civil service listening to the radio, and they were talking about online auctions. And eBay had just started at this time. So eBay was starting to get some traction. And I was listening to the radio, and I thought, I could do that. I could have an auction website business. Now, bear in mind, I know nothing about the website world at this time. I know nothing about the internet. I don't even own a computer. So I say to myself, right, what I can do, I can go home, borrow my girlfriend's parents' computer, and I can buy myself a domain name. So the domain name, I've got it in my head already, and all the best businesses start with the name first. You get the name, and the business bit comes later. Tom, you know about that, don't you?
I know about
Yeah.
and a logo.
That's the important bit, is the logo. Going.com. That was going to be my business. What a brilliant name. So I rush home, open up the girlfriend's parents' computer. It's on dial-up internet. Again, you guys won't know what that is. It makes a horrible screaming noise when you try and get on the internet, and it means your mum and dad can't use the phone. Cause of many arguments in our house. And I go to register this domain name, and I discover that I've been beaten to it. Someone else has registered that domain name. So there's this tool where you can look up and you can see who's registered it and when they registered it. And going.com had been registered the day before I was looking. So someone else had had the same idea that I had listening to that radio show the day before. And I thought, oh, that's amazing. I've been beaten to it. Who's beaten me to it? So I looked it up, and it was a chap called Mr. Brent Hoberman. It was this bastard here. Beat me to the chase. And that was the moment, though, when I thought, I knew nothing about the internet. I had no money. I had no computer. I knew nothing about the world of e-commerce. But I've just had the same idea as this guy. So I must be on to something. All I need to do now is figure out how I'm going to get there. Next slide. So here's my little setup, very similar, I think you'll agree, to Martha and Brent's setup. I'm sure they had some orangutan on the window there, and a can of Carling on the desk, just to keep them hydrated during those long working sessions. I'm still fighting off the ladies at this point, as you can see. Look at the size of those speakers. Tom, do you remember those size speakers?
Yeah. Parallel.
By the time my monitor is on the desk, and look at the size of that is like a 15-inch monitor? By the time the monitor and the speaker's on the desk, there's not room for much else. But this was my little setup. This was where I started. This would have been 2001, 2002. The horrible decor is because we had no money. That is my first computer. That is the first business. And all I did then was cobble together some really horrible looking websites. Can we go to the next slide? Hopefully there's a horrible slide. Is it? No, there's a book. This isn't the book, but this is the second edition, probably the 2019 version of a book that I picked up in 2000, which was Internet Marketing for Dummies. It was a lot thinner than that. And that's what I did, is I followed the instructions in that book. I read the book and I followed the instructions, and that's all I did. I literally, page one, worked through it step by step. Go next slide. And that led to horrible looking websites like this. Now, I know what you're thinking, this isn't that bad, is it? And the Wayback Machine unfortunately does have some missing images. There were some images that work here. The logo at the top here was a lovely animated GIF of a splat arriving on the screen. But I hand coded all of that myself. And honestly, so it says since 2000, I reckon this is a 2003, maybe 2004 version of the website. This is what it looked like when it was good. I can't find how bad it really looked when I first started it, because my skills were non-existent. They were crude, to say the least. I got something out there that was terrible. This is version 10.0 of my website, of the business. By this point, I've left the day job, I'm running the business. The bit before that was me figuring stuff out. For the first 9 months of running my business, I earned the grand sum of £13.51. 9 months' work. I was working 2 hours a day on top of the day job. I was working every weekend on my business. Every bit of annual leave I had, every, there's no one here from the civil service, is there? Every sick day that I might have taken that was diverted to my business got me to here. But the most important part of this, we go next slide please, is this bit at the top. I was giving away, it was a little fridge magnet with my logo on it, and entry into competition to win £1,000 cash. That shows you that I had £1,000 cash to throw at this and some money to put together towards these magnets. But I didn't have that to begin with. The crucial thing here was building a list, was actually marketing the business. I had to get people to this website. I couldn't just create it. This wasn't Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Because I built it and they didn't come. So Internet Marketing for Dummies taught me that I have to make them come. And when I do, I need to give them a compelling reason to come back again and again. So that key thing of building a list was the differentiator that led to this business working. Next slide, please. And that's one of the key tenets that I want to leave you with today, that marketing is not a dark art. It's not this separate thing that we do. We don't have creatives who create and then marketers who market. We have influencers, we have side hustlers, we have creators who have to market what they do as well. You've got to get eyeballs to whatever you create. I think I've got a 3-step process next. If we go on next slide. Back to me. Okay. So what did this guy do? Next slide, because I think that's where we're going with it. Yes, marketing needed to be simple. That was my point with that last slide. Because that guy knew nothing. So tripwires, lead magnets, escalation models, direct response, that meant nothing to that guy. I know about this stuff now, but back then, when I was sat there with my can of Carling, trying to cobble together horrible looking websites on the internet and get people to pay me money for them, I needed marketing to be easy. So I created a little 3-step process. We should go next. First, next slide. So step 1, build a list. I think this is quick. Yeah, step 2, make friends with the list. And step 3, ask for the sale. So I think, let's go for the next slide because I think I've gone through it again. Yeah, so let's go back. So number one, build a list. Now I've used email throughout my career. All of those 60 businesses that I've been involved in, I would say 90% of them have had an email list. I've captured email addresses, but it doesn't have to be email. Building a list can mean building an audience. It can mean building subscribers to a YouTube channel. It can mean building subscribers on a podcast. It can mean building followers on social media channels. It can just mean you have the data and you have the audience, that you have the power. Just like me, when I had my little fridge magnet, and if you give me your email address, I can contact you and I can say, I've got something for you this week that needs your attention. That puts you in control of who sees what you create. Step two is about making friends with that list. It's about two-way communication with your audience. It's not about just broadcasting at them. Now for me, every week I'd send a newsletter out to my audience. So they give me their email address and I would just say, hey, here's what's going on in our world this week. Here's some stuff, here's some new stuff. Here's some things that you should be aware of. Here's some funny stories that happened this week. And it was almost as if I was writing a letter to a friend because I knew these people and I was making friends with them. I was really getting to know my audience. And the more you know your audience and the more you speak to and with your audience, not broadcasting at them, but speaking with them and knowing them and communicating with them, as the late great Terry Wogan used to say, his dear audience, dear listener, the more successful you will be with that list. And then step three, you've got to ask for the sale. You've got to actually ask them to do something. And that can be watch my next video. It can be buy my product. It can be subscribe to my next course. It can be join my Patreon. Whatever your call to action is, you've got to be a reason to ask for that sale. If you don't ask for the sale, there is no money. There is no payday coming. There is no more money to fuel further eyeballs. Go next slide. Okay. So if we're all sold on marketing, I want to introduce you to something that Tom's already very familiar with. And this is something called the hedgehog concept. Has anyone heard of this before? I didn't think you would have. I hadn't until a couple of years ago. And the minute I did, it all made sense. So the hedgehog concept was named by Jim Collins, the author of Good to Great. So Jim did a study of about 1,400 S&P 500 listed companies in America. And he identified there were, of these 1,400, there were just 11 that had sustained an increase from what he called good to great. So a minimum of 20% increase in profits sustained over a 15-year period. So these were the companies that really leveled up and stayed there. And there were, of these 11 companies, they had 12 things in common. And all of these companies had these 12 things in common. They all had all 12 in common. And none of the 1,400 that didn't make it had all of them in common. One of them was what he called the hedgehog concept. So it's named after, there's a famous fable of the hedgehog and the fox, which for the UK audience, I prefer, does everyone know the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoons? Cool. Right. So Wile E. Coyote is your fox, okay? Every week he gets a delivery from Acme products. There's normally some kind of explosives in there. There's a rocket ship, there's some dynamite, there's some paint he can paint on a wall to try and stop the Roadrunner. So the fox, Wile E. Coyote, has so many different weapons in his arsenal, so many different ways that he could attack the Roadrunner or a hedgehog. But both the Roadrunner and the hedgehog have one line of defense. So the Roadrunner is able to just run very, very fast. I would actually argue that Roadrunner's greatest asset is his luck, because he always seems to have luck on his side. Gravity stops working when he runs out over the cliff and starts again when the coyote gets there. For the hedgehog, spikes. That's all he needs. The fox turns up and sneaks up and tries to get them, spikes. Nothing gets past the spikes. And the hedgehog concept, the hedgehog principle, is that when you know what you're good at, and I mean really, really good at, you just do that. And you don't need to do anything else. And you don't need to get blinded by shiny objects, because you just do the one thing that you are put on this world to do, and that is natural to you and is really effective. So if we go on to the next slide, we should explain this using a lovely Venn diagram. Oh, there we go, I predicted it. So this is, as Jim Collins describes it, the hedgehog concept. So Venn diagram, 3 interlocking circles. The first one, what are you really, really passionate about? What do you love to do? The second one, what can you be the best in the world at? What are you really, really good at? Or what could you become really, really good at? And the third one, and I don't like the language on this that Jim Collins uses, what drives your economic engine? What pays the bills? What is the world willing to reward you handsomely for? What is the world willing to pay you for? And the hedgehog is simply where those 3 meet. Now, I work with a lot of small business owners now, and I talk them through this process. And without fail, most small business owners that I speak to are failing to get all 3 of these. The majority of them do something that they're good at. They do something that makes them money, but they hate it. They don't enjoy what they do. They've got 2 out of 3. For others, maybe they're passionate about it, they're really good at it, but there's no money in it. They're struggling to pay the bills. And then the worst one, possibly, they're really passionate about it, they make loads of money doing it, but they're not very good at doing it. And I bet we all know people like that. So what we need to do is find those areas. And if we start with the next slide, I think we drill down into each of them. So yeah. So that first question. So I'd really love you to think this weekend, make a list of these 3 things. Number 1, what are you really, really passionate about? We need to, at this point, kind of disassociate the money side of things and the skill set. What do you love to do? If you suddenly won the lottery over the weekend and didn't need to work, what would you do for the rest of your life? Write it down. Doesn't need to be one thing. Write down everything that you are passionate about. Next slide. What are you really good at? What are your greatest skills? Even if you don't think you can make money out of them, even if you're not passionate about them, list everything that you're good at. List all those skills, all the things that people have said to you, you're really good at doing that, or you seem to naturally be able to do this better than most people. And then finally, what is the world willing to reward you handsomely for? What have you seen that either you've noticed, that's a business model that works well, someone seems to be making a lot of money doing this, or maybe someone said to you, you can earn a very good salary doing this. There is a model out there, a blueprint that you can copy, that someone else has done this, and list all those things that you could do that would earn you money. And again, don't discount things. Don't write down now, oh, I could earn this, I could earn lots of money doing that, but I'm not passionate about it. Don't discount it at this point. Once you've got those list of 3, we're then looking for the commonalities. We're then looking at which areas lie on 2 out of 3 and then 3 out of 3. Is there an area that you are really passionate about that the world could reward you handsomely for, but there's a skills gap, that you need to learn something, that you need to get better at your craft in order to get to your hedgehog? Is there something that you're really good at that you could earn loads of money doing, but you don't enjoy? But you can find a way to enjoy it. I run a horse racing website business. I'm not passionate about horse racing in the slightest, but I am passionate about marketing a horse racing business. So the operating of the horse racing stuff, that gets done by someone else. I look after the marketing because that's the bit I enjoy. The passion just isn't there for me. So I give it to someone who is passionate about it, who is good at what they do, and who is rewarded handsomely for doing so. If we go to the next slide, that's your hedgehog. And it's very difficult to find a job that does all three. They do exist, but it's very, very difficult. This is where the majority of hedgehogs are found, freelancing, because you make the rules. You decide, I hate this kind of work, so I'm not going to do it. I love this kind of work, so I'm going to market myself as the person who does this kind of work. This is where self-employed people, influencers, business owners get to choose what the rules are. Go next slide. So that question, why don't you get a job? You can then actually answer that question quite easily with, that's not my hedgehog. Now this is an actual book. It's one of those, what they call touchy-feely books that you might have had when you were 5 years old. I have this book on my bookshelf at home. Tom, you've seen it on calls. I've actually sent this book to clients of mine. Clients who've gone a little bit wrong with their hedgehog and have started chasing those shiny objects because, oh, I'd be really interested in doing that. There's no money to be made in doing it. You're not very good at doing it. You're not passionate about it. That's not your hedgehog. The minute you find your hedgehog, the minute you know what you were put on this world to do, you've got to say no to everything else. And that's what this becomes about. Let's go to the next slide. My little caveat to that, having told you all to not get a job, is that sometimes your dream job is also your dream hedgehog. There may be a certain person that you would love to work with, that actually finding that job would be your passion. You know it would be something that you could be the best in the world at, and you know that they reward people handsomely. So don't be put off by me saying, don't get a job, just because I haven't got a job, and working for the civil service didn't suit me. Working for someone else may suit you, but only if it is your hedgehog. Next slide, please. I think that might be... Oh, yes. I'd forgotten about this one. So this calendar is sat on my desk at home. That's probably why it's covered in dust. And you notice that it's set to Monday the 31st of December. That's not just when this photo was taken. That calendar is permanently set to Monday the 31st of December because that is Monday the 31st of December 2001. That was the last day that I worked for anybody other than myself. That was the last day I worked in the civil service. And I've got this little calendar on my desk to remind me every day never to go back there, because that was a period of my life that was essential for me finding my path and finding my way. But I never want to go back to that day of working for someone else that isn't my hedgehog, for something that I wasn't very good at, I certainly wasn't passionate about, and it didn't reward me at all for my time spent. So please find your hedgehog and absolutely stick to it. Next slide. I think that might be it. There we go. Yes. So any questions from the floor at all? I do have some books here if anyone would like to. I've got a limited number here. So if anyone's got a question or anything they'd like to know about either the hedgehog or marketing the business, or indeed anything about running your own business, let me know.
How long did you stick it out? Very silly.
Right, so I was moved from one department to another, and there was a 3-week induction period training course. I started my business on that training course. So the minute I changed departments, I knew I'm not sticking it out here. So from that moment to me quitting was 15 months.
Was that from when you very first started at the civil service?
No, that was, so in total I spent 6.5 years. I possibly would have still been there today had they not made that decision to change my job. Again, go back to the hedgehog.
Yeah.
My previous department, I was all right at it. I was really passionate about it, really enjoyed it. The money wasn't great, but it was okay. Suddenly they moved me to something I hated, I really wasn't good at, and the money was terrible.
But you had no choice.
And I had no choice now. I applied for some sort of public sector jobs, didn't get any of those. And then Brent Holdman appeared and I was like, oh, perhaps there's another way. And it suddenly then became the only way. So the only way I'm getting out of this, other than winning the lottery, is to make this business a success. And that's why when I said it took 9 months to earn that first
Really
£13, that's why I stuck at it. There's actually a quote in this book, but I can't tell my hands it now. I wish I could. No. So I start each of the chapters with a quote, normally from a famous person. I bet I can't put my hand on it now. No. One of these chapters, I start with a quote from there it is, page 113. I should sit down for this, shouldn't I? There you go.
Yes.
So, magic ingredient number 4, environment. Why is he wasting his time and money on this internet thing? My mother-in-law. You have that copy of it. There you go, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was going nowhere, but I had to persevere because I had to figure out there was no other way. You know, that was my only shot at getting out of the civil service, and to look back now and think I could have given up. I could have very easily quit in 6 months in and say, well, I've only earned £2. This doesn't work. I could have listened to my mother-in-law at the time, and I love to remind her of it now. She absolutely loves to be reminded that she was wrong.
And she's brilliant.
She is brilliant, yes, absolutely.
But it's very valuable knowing what you don't want to do, isn't it? When
Yes.
I talked about dragging my son off the sofa, I mean, I couldn't afford him to sit on the sofa as a single mother. And I happened to know somebody who needed a painter and decorator who needed a grunt, basically.
Yeah.
Pauline became said grunt, and absolutely loathed, hated and detested it.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of nowhere in Scotland because I lived there quite a while, and it inspired him to say, we'll get back to Edinburgh as quickly as he possibly could.
Yeah.
But no, and he's never done anything that he's hated. He's literally a marine biology he's doing now. But he did at the time, he just didn't know what he wanted to do. But knowing what he didn't want to do was a real
It is so powerful because there's only 2 reasons humans do things. It's to go towards pleasure or to avoid pain.
Yeah.
So
he was avoiding.
if the pain needs to be painful. If the civil service had been all right for me, I'd still be there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the boiling frog in the water, isn't it? If the water's not too hot to begin with, you just stick it out. But when the water's painful, you get the hell out of there.
Yeah. So knowing what you don't want to do is important.
Absolutely.
As knowing what you do.
And I think for young people, that's probably very important to just try stuff and to think, yeah, I've figured out another thing that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I've added something else to the don't do list.
And you learn something from it. I mean, he hated it, but he's a great decorator.
Yeah.
He just wants to decorate.
Yeah. Again, he might go through that exercise and say, yeah, really good at it, can earn a lot of money doing it, absolutely hate it. Okay, that's not your hedgehog.
Yeah.
Keep going, keep finding something else. Tom, you've had a few iterations of your hedgehog over the years, haven't you?
Yeah, you've had to draw me in a bit so often. I haven't, you sent the book yet, so.
Not yet, no, there's still time.
Well, I wanted to ask, as we're a creative academy, so we've got a lot of people who want to do video, film, art. These industries are competitive. These industries, especially in this area, I believe you probably have to fight a bit more to get noticed and get more work.
Yeah.
What advice could you give students and upcomers, how they can stand out, how they can make a mark, how to make a noise?
I think I'll go back to what I said at the beginning, which is you've got to market yourself. So actually, you've got to treat yourself. You are the product. What you create isn't the product. You are the product. You have to market yourself. You have to be, noticeable. So you've got to be figuring out, and marketing comes back to, again, build a list, make friends with the list, ask for the sale. So let's say you want a job with someone. That's asking for the sale. You've got to ask for the job. Come back, build a list. Who is on that list? Who do you want to work with? Is it one person? Is it possibly this one, this one, this one? Is there a team of 5 different paths, different careers you could go down? These are the houses, these are the companies I could work for. Make friends with the list. Okay, who are they? Who are the decision makers there? What's the criteria that they're using? What do they want? You guys are going to be raw talent. You're not going to be the finished article. That's not what they're looking for. What are they looking for? We had a meeting the other day. What was we talking about? Hunger, passion, confidence, creativity. They want to see this. So are you creative in your approach? When you go out and try and sell yourself to an employer, are you just filling in the application and sending a CV? Or are you doing something a little bit different? Are you doing something that's actually going to stand out? Are you creating a bespoke video just for them? How are you delivering that video? We've had to one of our clients. He does video for big brands, Kellogg's, Heinz, that sort of thing. And one piece of outreach he does to reach new clients is he went to the local bargain bucket, and he picked up these old VHS tapes. Do you guys remember VHS at all? I'm sure you've learnt about them in your history lessons. So he picked up VHS tapes. So they're deliberately old videos of, like, Look Who's Talking To or Jurassic Park, the original. And then he sticks a QR code on the front of that, which is a link to a brand new, sparkling new video that he's created. And he sends it to the HR manager at Heinz. He says, I've noticed your video is really out of date. It looks really dated. It looks like that bloke crossing the road earlier on. What's that, 70s, 80s? A lot of corporate videos were created 10, 15 years ago. They're looking a bit dated. They need a new, fresh pair of eyes on them. They need someone with a bit of creativity and a bit of oomph to suddenly rise above the noise. So what can you do that's going to stand out? Tom, what have you been doing recently? Because I sent you, or told you to read Outrageous Advertising, didn't I?
Yeah.
What did you do from that?
One good one, which I had in fact, is I really didn't want to, but I got some boxes of fudge, and I sent it with a little postcard from Devon to some of my perspectives.
Yeah, and these are like London-based companies, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't have worked yet, but one about keeping clients works very well, and that is sending them cake.
Yeah.
And I send some of my clients brownies. And usually I send it as a surprise. I'll say, just check your post, still stale for a week. And I always get a lovely email, and usually it comes up with some repeat work, or at least keeps the conversation open.
People think marketing is just, throwing adverts out there, getting your name out there. It's about creating these moments of being noticed by the right people and noticing that you know what they want. So the guys you want to work for, what problems are you going to solve for them? How can you persuade them that you're the person above everyone else that's a little bit special, that's got something about them that isn't just, because most of these guys won't know you. They'll just look at you and say, oh, this is a name on a CV, it's a name on an application. What can you do to support that, to just level up that and say, you need to pay attention to me, so that when they see your name on the application, they go, it's that guy. Right. Definitely speaking to them. And they know who you are. Yeah. Any other questions?
What would you say? So, because I know there's some people who may not feel confident enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get over that fear of putting yourself out there?
Yeah. I think you can market yourself without putting yourself out there. So you can, I don't want to use the word hide behind, but you can hide behind a logo, you can hide behind a brand, you don't have to do videos, it doesn't have to be a camera phone in your face. doing live streaming. It can be direct mail. It can be a handwritten note. It can be sending a box of fudge. It can be doing something that just says, I've noticed, I've listened to you, and I understand you. Because all marketing is about understanding your prospects. It's all about understanding who can you help and how can you help them. What can you do for them? And if you could just demonstrate that, I could demonstrate that with literally writing a handwritten note, pop it in the card, send it in the post. That's it. I don't need to put myself out there too much. You know, I don't need to rock up at their offices and put on a performance. I don't need to do a live video. I can just do something that is creative and demonstrates my creativity, but does so in a way that actually protects me as well.
That's a bearing, because that might be a bit hot.
Yeah. There you go. Any other questions? Any other thoughts?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
I hope
John.
you enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you.